Steven interviews you.
Discussing topics that matter to you. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, smash the like button, and feel free to share it with others so that they can see it too. And if you're new to this channel, please feel free to subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you can get updates on what I'm doing for this channel. Thank you all so much for your support. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Steven Interviews You. This is episode number 34, and I am joined by a very special guest.
Hey, Steven. Ross Dellenger here with Yahoo Sports, covering national college football.
Yep. I am so thankful to have you on my show here tonight, Ross. And so let's get started. Let's get started with this. The Sports Broadcasting Act of 1961. That has been one thing that has been tossed around as maybe, as far as legislation goes, maybe being amended, or groups are trying to get it amended through the government. Could you provide us like any sort of like details about that? Is there any like sort of progress being made on that front? What are you hearing on that end?
Yeah, there has been a pretty loud push to amend the Sports Broadcasting Act to allow conferences to consolidate their media rights, and thus the idea is, at least the theory is, that you would be able to earn more money if you consolidate. If all the 10 FBS conferences were to consolidate and sell their rights as one instead of individual rights. That's the theory. The SEC and Big Ten, they each have the biggest TV deals. They don't agree with that, right? They want to keep their own TV deal. They don't want to be lumped in with anybody else because they probably view that as taking away some of their value when they are selling individually. So I'll be honest, the conversation around the SBA, I don't want to say it's died, but it has dwindled pretty significantly over the last few months. And I'm not sure. I think it might be a piece of some kind of federal legislation if something comes along, and it is something to keep in mind for the future. But I don't know that it's as being aggressively pursued as once thought, because you've got the two biggest leagues so much against it. In the networks, the two biggest networks, ESPN and Fox, two biggest networks for college football at least, are so against it as well, that it's sort of gone a little more quiet.
Yeah. So I was just interested in knowing about that because that has been brought up in recent times. So it does sound like it's fading away, those kinds of attempts. So moving on here, more specifically to just conference-related material. Specifically the conference I follow, the MAC, the Mid-American Conference. This is going to be like a two-parter kind of question. From the information that you've gathered, the sources that you've been in contact with, where exactly does the MAC stand economically, financially speaking? And in light of what's been happening, here's the other part of the question. In light of what's been happening with the MAC, as far as losing Northern Illinois to the Mountain West Conference for football only, getting back Sacramento State, what are you also hearing from sources about potentially down the road in the future expansion efforts to maybe join the MAC?
Yeah, well, obviously the MAC lost, like you mentioned, lost Northern Illinois, picking up Sacramento State. The Sacramento State thing was really interesting. We ended up breaking that story at Yahoo Sports. It was a crazy couple of weeks because there had been a lot of rumors that Sacramento State was going to several different conferences. And so Mountain West or Pac-12. So you kind of had to sort through a lot of stuff. And I heard the MAC, and I kept hearing the MAC. And you mentioned you had John Steinbrecher on. He's commissioner of the MAC. I think one of the best men in college football, college sports in general. He's an incredible, I think, leader, and has incredible historic knowledge of college sports, and just does a really good job of with his membership. But I called him, of course, and he, and no surprise, he did not confirm anything, and didn't answer any of my questions about the Sac State. But I had enough people that we were able to sort of break that story on like a Friday night. I guess that was in February, maybe, and it was crazy because I just never. It was a hard story to report because I never thought that would actually really happen. Because it was hard to believe that Sac State would be joining the MAC. It doesn't make a whole lot of geographic sense or cultural sense, but nothing really does these days in college sports. And the MAC, certainly, like every other league, needs money, needs revenue, and Sac State is bringing that, obviously. And as far as like the next move, I have no idea. I don't know that the MAC needs any more members. One thing that's great about the MAC, and this is the case for the Sun Belt too, and to an extent, the SEC, is that they're all kind of in a geographical footprint. They're all kind of near each other, and culturally they're similar. They're kind of like a throwback, in some regard to that. And I think the MAC likes that, and obviously their addition of Sac State takes them away from that a little bit. But again, it's a temporary move, right? I mean, it's a 5-year sort of agreement. So we can see what happens after 5 years, and then they can make a decision, I guess.
Yeah. So a quick follow-up question to that would be, you get in contact with TV network executives from time to time, I'm assuming. Are they telling you anything about the MAC, the quality of the conference, and what it needs to do exactly to not only make more money, but also to better itself, whether it's membership or operational, whatever it may be with that?
Not really. The MAC is in the middle of, I think, or about to start renegotiations with their new TV deal and re-upping it with ESPN, maybe with others. But the deal is coming open, I think, in you probably have a better idea than me, maybe a year and a half or 2 years. So I think they're kind of in that realm of where they're about to renegotiate if they haven't already. And I think the additions of Sac State and UMass and all that, I think that probably is behind a little bit of that timing-wise of the renegotiation.
Yeah. So by extension, and this is going to be about all of college football for this question, the college football playoff, it's obviously a hot topic amongst many fans. When it comes to the structure of the college football playoff, we're hearing stuff now about maybe it's going to expand to 16 or 24 teams. What is generally the feeling about that? Is it imminent? Is it going to happen within a few years, or is there some kind of stalling going on? I guess what I'm trying to say is everyone in that room, all the commissioners, all the school presidents, are they on the same page exactly, or is there something missing?
Well, lately a lot of them are on the same page. They've it's kind of weird because when they were trying to reach an agreement back in January to expand the playoff for this coming year, most people in the CFP room were on board with 16 teams. And now it's kind of changed. Now most people, it seems, are on board with 24 teams. But nobody really matters except two conferences, the SEC and Big Ten. They have to agree, according to the bylaws, the new bylaws that were introduced 2 years ago in the CFP. The SEC and Big Ten have to agree on a format for it to move forward and be adopted. So the Big Ten has been on a 2014 format now for several months. The SEC is, believe 16 is the right number. So they're kind of at a stalemate and have been. Right now, uh, the media consultants for the college football playoff are doing an evaluation of what a 2014 playoff would drive, what kind of revenue, additional revenue would a 2014 playoff bring to the conferences. And that's going to decide probably whether the SEC is in for 24 or out, and we stay at 12 teams. In order to go to 24, all the conference championship games basically have to be eliminated. And that comes at a value of between $200 and $250 million. Alone for the SEC, that value is $80 to $100 million. So you have to recoup that money. All the leagues have to recoup that money in order to make a 2014 playoff work. And they're doing that evaluation now, some media consultants, to see how real that is. And the next time the CFP commissioners meet, I think they'll probably view those numbers and they'll get a good idea of what direction they're going to go in.
Yeah. And how I phrase that last question, is everybody in that room on the same page? I phrase that because we've also been hearing rumors, speculation about maybe conferences going into their own silos to just play each other, just play in their own conference schedule and nobody else, such as the SEC. How likely is it that in the future we might see actual quote unquote breakaways and conferences going into their silos, new subdivisions? I've also heard about that, football autonomy subdivision. I've heard that kind of term thrown. How likely is that?
I think it depends on actually congressional legislation. I think if there is congressional legislation that regulates college sports, regulates eligibility and transfers, preempts state NIL laws, if there's that regulation in a legislation coming, I don't think you'll see that happen as immediate as it would happen without congressional legislation. So without Congress doing something, I do believe that you will see a separation of the conferences from the NCAA so that they can create their own rules within their conference and their own enforcement mechanism within their conference. Because right now there's a lack of national rules and enforcement, and they could theoretically break away, create their own rules for each league, and evade antitrust scrutiny because they're such a small group. That's the idea. Some lawyers believe that that idea won't work. But if there's no congressional legislation to sort of police college sports at the national level, I think you will see that within the calendar year. If there is congressional legislation, I think it delays it. It might happen eventually, but it certainly probably would delay it.
Yeah. So moving on to another question. Saving college sports. That is a campaign run by the likes of Cody Campbell, and that is one topic I'd like to discuss real fast. There is even an event held in Washington D.C. in the White House about that. What have you been hearing so far about where this is going? Saving college sports. Is there any momentum gaining from that? Because we've had various attempts of governance for college sports, like the NCAA, College Sports Commission. What's going on here with saving college sports?
Well, I think the Saving College Sports campaign sort of turned into the roundtable, as we saw in February at the White House with President Trump, in a lot of college sports stakeholders and business executives all gathered around. I think that the saving the campaign sort of morphed into the roundtable, and then that has developed into several post roundtable committees, presidential committees that have been meeting. I think their third sort of round. There's five commit or six committees total, and their third round of meetings actually is happening this week. And they are, their goal, I think, is to create recommendations for Congress to build into some kind of federal legislation. That's sort of the goal. So I think if take saving college sports from the sort of the ad campaign that we all saw, I think that it's morphed into something sort of much bigger and more important. Although there's plenty of people out there who don't necessarily believe that the committees will really turn up anything, but we'll see.
Yeah. I just when I review topics like that, saving college sports, I'm kind of left to wonder what is really going on behind the scenes. I'm not sure where Cody Campbell is going with this, but it's like you said, a wait and see kind of thing. So, with this, we're gonna wrap it up with this question, a for fun question for you, Ross. It's has everything to do with Yahoo Sports. So what is it like, if you could describe it? What is it like to work for Yahoo Sports? What goes into like a day on the job as senior reporter for college sports, and what makes it so fun for you to do this?
Mm. Well, at times it's not necessarily fun, but it's very busy. It's the off season that us sports writers used to have, especially when we did just one sport, college football, like I did. You had an off season, but that doesn't really exist anymore with a lot of the off the field stuff. So my days are normally spent either on the phone most of the day, making calls and finding out information, trying to find out new information on topics and what's happening here or there. There's a lot going on in college sports. There's 135 FBS football teams, and so each one of those schools has a team and a huge coaching staff and a lot of players, and so there's always something going on. So you're always kind of on the phone, or I'm traveling, or at an event, networking or covering an event. So that's normally kind of how my day goes, and it can be fun. It can also be exhausting and tiring and all that. But I know that they're, as a grandson of a shrimper and a sheet metal and roofer, I know that there are much less desirable jobs out there.
Yeah. And so, yeah, just to quickly follow up on that, as like, I'm curious because many years ago, I used to write for my local baseball team. I know it's not exactly the same comparison, but I got started with sports journalism way back when, writing for my local baseball team. So I had to ask that question because I've never been in a working environment like Yahoo Sports. So I can only wonder how how challenging it could be, but also how fun it could be to work at Yahoo Sports. Yeah.
Yes.
So.
Yep. It is. It's good. They're good to me too. So it's been a great almost 3 years here.
Yeah. So one last final question before we wrap up. For anyone that is wanting to get into sports journalism, what quick advice would you give those that are really wanting to end up in an organization like Yahoo Sports?
Well, work hard, develop relationships with people. I think in any industry in the world that we're in, relationships, um, getting to know people and establishing their trust is the most important thing.
Yeah. And that's it. That's really what it is. Just relationships matter, and just having this opportunity to have interviews with sports journalists like you, Ross. It's really an honor. It's really an honor because I read your articles on Yahoo Sports all the time. You do great stuff, Ross. It's like I report about it all the time on my other show, Bobcat Corner. Just amazing stuff, Ross. I really do appreciate what you do on Yahoo Sports. Thank you so much, Ross
Thanks.
Dellenger, for discussing topics that matter to you. I really do appreciate it. And thank you guys for watching. We'll be back with more content soon enough. Take care, guys.